So now on to the stories of our 4 national winners. The U.S. Professors of the Year are judged within 4 institutional categories: baccalaureate, community college, doctoral, and master's institutions. The winners are selected based on 4 criteria: their impact on and involvement with undergraduate students, their scholarly approach to teaching and learning, their contributions to undergraduate education on their campuses, and their recommendations from colleagues and students. CASE convenes 2 panels of experts, many of whom are former national and state winners, to conduct the preliminary rounds of judging. We then forward the highest scoring nominees to the Carnegie Foundation, where a panel identifies, to use my favorite phrase, the best of the best. And it's now time for you to meet the best of the best. And who better to introduce them to you than their current and former students? So we're going to begin with the Baccalaureate College Professor of the Year. This year's winner is Laurie Grobman, Professor of English and Women's Studies at Pennsylvania State University Berks. And here to introduce Professor Grobman is one of her students, Elizabeth Kemmerer. Elizabeth, the lectern is yours. Please welcome Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to preface my introduction with a little background information about myself to further illustrate the connection and inspiration I have gained from my current professor, Dr. Grobman. I have worked for the Olivet Boys and Girls Club, a nonprofit organization in Reading, Pennsylvania, on and off for the past 4 years, and I am extremely passionate about the work I do there, helping inner-city children with their homework and encouraging them to be all that they can. It was this passion that first led me to Dr. Grobman. My first semester, some of my other professors noticed how connected I was with the organization, and they encouraged me to take a 200-level course the following semester, which involved a community-based research project about the Olivet Boys and Girls Club. And so began my enriching collegiate experience with Dr. Grobman, who, dare I say, may be more passionate about this organization than I am. I believe that one of the most unique aspects of Dr. Grobman's teaching is her consistent focus on these community-based research projects. She connects the tremendous and sometimes frustrating aspects of research and writing with organizations within our community, developing a richer and more in-depth style of learning. Busy work is not an option in her class, ladies and gentlemen. Every single paper, reading, and second spent researching was for a reason: to delve into the history of the Olivet organization in a way no one else had. And eventually, my fellow students and I combined our efforts and did just that in the form of a book. Unlike other educators I'm sure many of us have had prior experience with, Dr. Grobman doesn't simply stand in front of the classroom and lecture and collect grades. The separation between those professors and Dr. Grobman, and undoubtedly what led to her receiving this prestigious award today, is the very simple and yet so important fact that she cares about the vital experiences of community-based research projects, about the importance of the written word as well as the spoken one, about equality for all, and most importantly, in the eyes of a current and future student, she cares deeply for the students she teaches. Her steady belief in the greatness of her students inspires confidence and evokes the excellence we all desire. I am extremely honored to stand up here today and introduce one of the most insightful and caring professors I know. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Laurie Grobman.
Thank you so much, Elle. You're a delight. Good afternoon to everyone. It's with deep appreciation and honor that I speak before you today. I want to take you back to October 14th. We were beginning part 2 of the Olivet Boys and Girls Club History Project, a 3-semester project that involves several classes, including some of my own. That day, 20 undergraduates from a Penn State Berks colleagues class were conducting oral histories with 20 Olivet alumni. Nervous but excited students about to interview complete strangers had learned in their course that ordinary people have important stories to tell, but some seemed hesitant. Why would anybody care about the organization's history and its people's history? Olivet alumni mingled with one another. White men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, African American men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, Latino women and men in their 20s and 30s, representing the changing demographics of Reading's population and the fact that the Boys and Girls Clubs of America did not include girls until 1990. 2 days later, in my first-year composition class, students began their research. They dug into what we call the Olivet Archives, a collection of several hundred documents in binders and boxes arbitrarily collected over 116 years by individuals affiliated with Olivet. Elle ran around my class assisting first-year writers with their research. Reading's mayor, Vaughn Spencer, dropped by at 8:30. He spoke to the pair of students writing about African American history and Olivet. He told them that when he attended the Mulberry Street unit in the 60s, he was one of only very few African American children to attend. He lived in the predominantly white neighborhood in Reading. The Clinton Street unit, he told them, in the 6th Ward in Reading, was where the African American boys went. Thus far, our students have documented the first Black Olivet members as attending in the 1950s, but many appear only in photographs, unnamed and today still unidentified. Our work is a start. But this kind of teaching is not without risks. Students' research for the first Olivet book yielded an overwhelming amount of information on minstrel shows and blackface activities at Olivet. How could we reconcile that with the organization's long-standing values and the embrace of all children? Really, I don't think we could ever reconcile it, and that was important for the students. As an English professor and a multicultural educator, I address local histories through various questions of language and communication. Foremost among them, who owns and controls writing and the knowledge it produces and preserves? And what are the ethical and political choices writers must consider given this narrative control? Who gets left out? And what does it feel like and mean for undergraduates to write these people back in to public memory? And these are the kinds of issues that inform my own research and scholarship and then circle back to inform my teaching. I'm beginning to do my own research on the representation in language and media of minstrel shows. Moreover, in the first 3 decades of the 20th century, Reading, Pennsylvania was 99% white. Today, it is approximately 13% Black or African American, 58% Hispanic Latino, and 29% white. The Olivet serves 3,000 to 4,000 children per year. 82% live at or below the poverty level. 62% are Hispanic Latino, 23% are African American, 6% are multiracial, and 9% are white. We see too often in our country and in Reading negative public attitudes toward people of color who live in poverty. But did students and might our community think in new, more compassionate ways about Reading's poorest families today, a majority of whom are Hispanic and Latino, having read what the students wrote about Olivet's history? A scholar in my discipline documented research showing that students want agency and purpose. They want their writing to do something meaningful. Surely when students do work beyond the classroom walls, collaborating with community members who have lived issues of difference and diversity in the most profound ways, they are engaging the issues, both with their hearts and with their minds, reflected in Reading's and Olivet's population statistics. It is with heartfelt thanks to all of them, to the Case and Carney organizations, to Elizabeth, To my colleagues and administrators, to my two brilliant, kind sons, to my wonderful family, to my really close friends, that I have the honor to tell you about it today. Thank you.
Stay right here.
Oh, right, I forgot.
On behalf of CASE, on behalf of the Carnegie Foundation, I am delighted and honored to name Laurie Grobman the 2014 Baccalaureate College Professor of the Year. Congratulations, and give us a moment for a photo shoot.